Hello and welcome to the Nanosecond Media Browns postgame show. I'm Eric,
I'm Evan.
and wow, what a game by the Browns today. 27-0 against rookie Clayton Tune and the Arizona Cardinals.
If you'll beg my indulgence, I think we could safely say Clayton was out of tune today.
Ah, good one.
Just came to
Yeah.
me.
Hey, good on the fly. I mean,
Mm.
yeah, that's accurate though. He was very
Oh
out
yeah.
of tune. Like he I've seen bad quarterbacks. I'm a Cleveland fan, you know,
Me
but
too.
I don't know. uh I don't know if I've seen that bad of a performance. I mean, I have seen the Browns lose to the Steelers 52-0 on Christmas Eve back
Oh
in
yeah.
'04, I believe.
Mhm.
As a Browns fan, we try to forget that, but it's hard. But anyway, the one play that stood out to me was that tipped pass for the touchdown.
Oh
That
yes. Yes.
Amari stayed with it
Mhm.
enough to still catch it, even though it was tipped.
Mhm.
Like he adjusted. Sorry, as I'm talking, I'm trying to send this out to some people so they could watch it. But they he tipped it, and still what Cooper stayed with it, which is a surprise because usually after a tip ball, the ball
Yeah.
goes the other direction and falls incomplete or ends up as an interception. So
Oh yeah.
for for it to be a or for it to end up the way it did, I'm highly impressed. For him to stay
Yeah.
with it, so go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. Although I think we probably should expect more of that because wasn't that why the Dallas Cowboys originally drafted Amari? I mean, it was because he really had big playability, and from the looks of things, the Cowboys quit on him, more than anything else. And he still shows, and I think, he might not say it openly, but I'd say this is like a little bit of revenge for him to say, hey. I just showed you guys I still can do these things.
The dude had 130 yards. Like
Mm,
that's his best game as a Brown.
wow.
Like that was super good. He had, I think he had over half of the yards that Deshaun Watson threw for, which
I
is
wouldn't be
amazing in
surprised.
itself.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. What was the running game like today? How much did they gain on the ground? I mean, they really kept at it, and I'm glad. I'm really glad because that eliminated any of the mistakes that have happened here for the last few weeks.
Uh,
Even though maybe been 1 yard here, 2 yards there, or whatever
I
the sequence was.
I was not a fan of at the end of the game. I I understand they want to run down the clock, but I was not a fan of the just run it first, second, and third down and punt. Like
Mm.
short pass, get a first down, keep the clock running.
Yeah, and that worked earlier. That was some of what worked with Deshaun tossing to Jerome Ford. It was the same kind of pass that you're just talking about. Now, granted, the Cardinals probably would have adjusted, and it looks like they did.
Mm.
But that, to me, I think would have worked really well, just to keep the clock moving and keep moving down the field some more.
So just to throw out some stats and to
Mhm,
answer your running game question. So with
mhm,
Watson, he was 19 of 30 for 200 yards.
mhm.
Jerome Ford had 20 carries, 44 yards. Yikes. That's
Yeah,
all I could say to that. Hunt, 14 carries, 38 yards. Watson, 3 carries, 22. And Pierre Strong, 3 carries for 9. Amari
okay.
Cooper, 5 receptions, 139 yards, and a touchdown. Oh, yeah. And
Mhm.
Watson had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I tossed for 2 touchdowns. Okay.
Yeah.
That's,
So he had the one to Cooper and then the one to Njoku. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess I overstated what the running game was doing. Now the running game is obviously in the top 5. It isn't the second best in the league these
Yes.
days.
I don't know how.
Yeah, that is amazing. And especially with with the loss of Nick Chubb, we thought that for sure that the team was going to suffer, and yet they've been able to find these other running backs, and they've been able to keep the chains moving. I guess that's the way to put it. But I just they made run for more than they actually did today. It seemed that way. Maybe it was just that there was a lot of activity, even if the gains for all the runners were pretty modest. But I mean, 27. I'm not going to complain.
No, not at all. I mean, the biggest concern though is the offensive line. You had DeJuan Jones go out once, even though it was for a short time. He went out. Then you had Jedrick Wills go out twice, and he's probably going to be out for the season with a serious knee injury. I don't know specifically what it is. I haven't seen any reports, but they were saying that he's probably going to be out for a while. And just with how much pain he was in, he looked like he was he looked like it was a serious injury. And
yeah, I think
they
right.
can't afford that. They don't have any other backup offensive linemen. That's going to be a problem.
It could be. Yeah, you're right. They'll probably end up having to sign a free agent or bring somebody in for practice squad if they have anybody.
They brought somebody up from the practice squad earlier this week, but he was inactive today. I forget his name. But then the defensive backfield is a little concerning too, with Newsom out and then Cam Mitchell, the rookie corner, getting hurt, a shoulder injury at the end. That's a little concerning because you have Ward and Emerson who are good, but behind them, they really don't. They have AJ Green, but he's average. So they might be in a little trouble. I was very impressed by the defensive line today.
Oh yeah, I mean that was a performance for the ages. 7 sacks. It's probably not an NFL record, but I'll bet it's up there.
I think it is. I think the NFL record. I have the Browns defense in both of my fantasy leagues. I started them in one league, and at last check, they had 42 points. So let me see what they finished with. They had 53 points.
Wow.
So,
I mean, I was impressed. It wasn't just that. I was impressed with just some of the other things that I heard. The Cardinals gained a net 58 yards, and that's their lowest total since 1955. I can't remember ever seeing a defense either under the old Browns or this incarnation of the Browns being that effective. I mean, just it's jaw dropping. It really is.
only
the offense could be this impressive.
I mean, it's concerning with the receivers though, because I really hope I have had sound because I just realized I didn't turn my board on. Yikes. That's a problem. But give me a second to see if I'll talk. I was really impressed by 93 Harris. He's played well. Like, he played really well today. This was his best game as a Cleveland Brown. So, well,
since the trading deadline has come and gone, anything else they would do is what? It would count against their salary cap, but they still have room,
would.
don't they? Yeah, it would count against the salary cap. I mean, would you think about signing the free agent lineman. I hear that Devontae Adams is really unhappy in Las Vegas. He is just not pleased with what the Raiders are doing right now. He would, if we could find a way to fit him in. Imagine what this offense could do if he could, do anything near what he used to be able to do.
As a receiver, yeah. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But he would be a great replacement for Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah, he would be. That's right. Marquise is he was another one that was injured today. And he was labeled as out for the rest of the game after he had sustained the injury. Did you hear anything about him?
No, but I know it was a neck injury, so that's concerning.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a problem. That's
yeah.
a problem. Well, what aspect of the game do you think we ought to talk about here the most? I mean, I think the defense really they were the story of the day.
That's where I think, and especially because we kind of focused on that, and like I said, I don't know if my microphone was on. I think it was. Were you able to hear me? Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I've heard you the whole time. Yeah.
That's weird. Like if my board's on, my microphone still picks up. That's really strange. Anyway, sorry, little behind the scenes look there. But I just the defense at all levels was amazing. I mean, Grant Delpit's having an amazing season. I did not expect that from him.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who we could say is the standout, on the defense. I mean, there are so many names that we could pick. I mean, Myles Garrett, that even in a loss at the Seahawks last week, he really he made some serious plays, as I recall.
I would say today it was between Denzel Ward, because he had a couple pass breakups on top of the interception, and I would say, like I said earlier, Shelby Harris.
Yeah,
he had a really good game, and technically Jordan Elliott did too. He did have the face mask penalty, which was unfortunate, but he still had a really good game. He's actually becoming something finally in his third year, because he actually that's what happens when you have a competent defensive coordinator. No offense to Joe Woods.
Yeah, seriously. But yes, I am just astounded at how effective Jim Schwartz has been in taking this defense, which was, bottom of the heap. Let's be honest here. For the last several years, they were either average or just near the bottom in so many categories. And this year, they have most of the upper defensive categories. Yards gained, pressures, whatever else we could think of. They seem to be able to do all those things pretty well. The only thing that was a knock on them until I'd say about 2 weeks ago was that they couldn't create turnovers. They were just not creating enough turnovers, and then able to take those opportunities and convert them into points. That's the only thing I could say that was really a knock on that defense. But obviously, they've had great games.
I think just in this game, trying to go back to the sets real quick, the offense for Arizona, I don't know if they even got 70 yards total. No, wait, they got 58. Yeah, they got 58 passing, and let's see, 28 from their starting running back, 8 from their backup. Third string only had 3, and fourth string only had 2. So I'm not great at math, but that's maybe 100 yards total.
I think it's less. I think you've just cited it being less than that. I thought I'd heard 78 earlier, but I mean, in any event, it was a spectacular performance when you consider that we've seen this Browns team in its previous incarnations give up,
Mhm.
300 yards in one game and then 450 in another, or 250. And this is amazing. I don't ever recall seeing a defense like ours do this kind of stuff. Now, there may have been some Browns teams in the late 50s and early 60s that could do this stuff, but they were never really noted for that. It was almost always their offense. They were able to run the ball all the time with Jim Brown. He ran over practically everybody that tried to tackle him. And I never
Yeah.
ever heard about, a vigorous defense, from all those years. Even when the Browns won, the NFL championship in 1964, I don't ever remember hearing it.
Mhm.
And that game was a shutout, just like this one. And in
Yeah.
fact, it was the same. It was like the same percentage, and the Colts were heavily favored in that game. So I'm
Uh,
I
I'm
am
going
oh,
I'm going through the whole stat line on Google. I didn't
mhm,
realize they total up the yardage for a punter. Their
mhm,
punter punted for over 460 yards today.
mhm.
Obscure stat of the day.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, the well, that's always been, like one of those secondary stats that's kept, the net average for a punter, like, the net
Mhm.
40 yards in a boot, or, there was one today that I think I heard was around 60 yards. I'm sure we could go over a game summary somewhere and find it, but one of those boots,
73.
73. Bajorquez had a 70-yard
Yeah.
punt.
The one that
Amazing.
they downed at the 2-yard line was
Mhm.
72 yards.
And I am astonished, that we can go to that sequence of plays for the Cardinals. I am astonished that the starting quarterback Clayton Tune wasn't whistled for intentional grounding. There must have been somebody, nearby, because he looked like he was trying to throw the ball away, and he was in the end zone. And usually, under those circumstances, if the officials rule that you've intentionally thrown the ball away, they, with nobody around, or didn't make the line of scrimmage, that should be a safety. I'm rather intrigued that
I thought
uh,
he went up in the air. I thought as he was letting go,
Mhm.
almost simultaneous, that his foot hit the back line. So
I
that
saw that
should have
too.
been a safety anyway.
Yeah, I saw that
But
too. He was very close. He was very close to backing out of the end zone like that. You're right. Yeah.
I think the back judge was more paying attention for penalties, like holding or something. So
Mhm,
he
mhm.
missed it.
Yeah,
But yeah, that should have been a safety.
yeah. Anyway, but we really have no right to complain. This is the most points I've seen this team put up in a while. Well, I think that the game against the Tennessee Titans, I think we put up 27 as well. And the Titans are frankly a much better team. Even though they didn't show it against the Steelers on Thursday night, they are certainly a better team than the Cardinals. And you can look at the record, and they were playing a rookie quarterback too, although he looked like he was just sharper. He just looked like he was sharper. But
Mhm.
back to the game that the Browns had today. This is the kind of game that the Browns should have won. This is the kind of game that they should be expected to win. And when you're facing a one-win team, you're supposed to dominate, and that's exactly what they did. But I will be curious to see what happens when we play. We're supposed to play the Ravens next week, aren't we, in Baltimore? Isn't that our next game?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah.
That to me is going to be a really good test of how strong this defense is. As I recall, Ravens really had us over a barrel, but then again, we didn't have Deshaun Watson, starting for us. We had PJ Walter, is that the
No,
backup?
that was Dorian Thompson Robinson, the
Dorian
rookie.
Thompson. Okay, well, even so, he obviously was not ready for that challenge. But I I would, again, we're just conjecturing here. We will never truly know what would have happened had Deshaun been in that game against
Yeah.
the Ravens
Yeah.
this time. I
You
am
know,
going to be curious. I'm
hindsight
going to
is
be curious.
2020 and you can't, look back, but yeah.
Yes, that's true. But I am going to be curious to see how the Browns function in Baltimore. I mean, that's obviously been a tough place for us all the time. The only time I ever recall the Browns ever really being able to accomplish much in the past was when their offense couldn't match up to their defense. They used to have a really puny
Yeah.
offense before they had Lamar Jackson, and those were the games when the Browns in the past actually had a chance and could win in Baltimore. But I'm going to be curious to see how this number one ranked defense goes against their offense. I don't even know what the ranking for the Ravens offense is, but I'm sure it's higher than ours is. I'm pretty sure
Oh
of
yeah,
that.
it is definitely. With that, it is time to wrap up because I have something I need to do at 5. So I will talk to everybody on the Nanosecond podcast on Tuesday. And Evan, if you want to join, you can. Because yeah, so
Who's your
feel
guest this
free.
week? Who's your
No
guest
one.
this week?
I got lazy
you.
and didn't book a guest.
Oh, okay.
But note with that, we're starting at 8:15. So
8.
8:15 Tuesday. So we'll probably go 8:15 to 9:15. But with that, I wrap up and don't log off, Evan, after I close this because I do have to tell you something off air. So with that, have a great day, everyone. Thank you for checking it out. Bye.
Goodbye.
Oh, I didn't turn the volume up. Here we go.